Unicorns Talk is a weekly podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of the human experience, from personal growth to romantic relationships and everything in between. This show is for life livers, life lovers, and life enhancers. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to laugh, love, and learn to maneuver all of life's little messes. Let's go. Hey y'all, my name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and welcome to episode 6 of Unicorns Talk. As usual, I'm super excited to be here with y'all. This last week or so has been ridiculous. I moved, like I told y'all last week, and my birthday was Sunday, and I am officially halfway through my 30s. I don't quite know how to feel about that yet, but I think I'm taking it in stride. The move has been really crazy. I moved from Texas to Florida, and my husband and I are really trying to set up shop in South Florida, which is exciting. I think anytime you move or, like moving from one place to another, it's like a fresh start. And so that's always exciting. But I just hate moving. I just really do. I don't enjoy moving at all. I don't like packing. I don't like unpacking. I don't like trying to remember what box shit is in, all of that stuff. So, the process of moving, I'm not a big fan of, but the actual move itself tends to signify like a fresh start or something new. And that's definitely what it is in my life right now. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad that the move is behind me and moving on to the next phase of my life. Again, like I said, my birthday was Sunday, August 6th, which is also Jamaican Independence Day. So now that day has really special significance in my household, being that I'm married to the Jamaican. So yeah, my birthday was really good, actually. My daddy barbecued for me, had some of my friends come over and things like that. We really enjoyed each other. So I'm always reflective when it comes close to my birthday, and this year was no exception. I turned 35 this year, which in my mind is a really big birthday. I don't know, for some reason, like, anytime I make a birthday on the fives, on a multiple of 5, I feel like it's a big birthday. But in my mind, I think 35 really is a big birthday because it's like halfway to 40. You get what I'm saying, in terms of 30 to 40. So I talk a lot about when I was approaching my 30s and how it really kind of started this journey of self-discovery for me. And so I thought it would be really interesting to take another look over the last 5 years and kind of see where or how far I've come. So I came up with a list of about 4 things that I've learned in the first half of my 30s. And I wanted to share those things with y'all today because I feel like everybody goes on this journey at some point in their life. And I'm saying 30s, but for you it could be 20s, it could be 40s. It doesn't really matter. These are just some things that I've learned since starting this journey of self-discovery and really understanding myself on a much deeper, more intimate level, and really just coming to a place where I really love, like, and appreciate the person that I am and the person that I'm becoming, and kind of seeing myself to my full potential and manifesting that in every area of my life, So here are the 4 things that I've learned in my 30s thus far. The first thing, and this is not in any particular order, it's just the way that it came up in my head. The first thing is that life is short and long at the same damn time. Okay, I feel like at 35, I still have so much more life to live, people are living longer now than they ever have before. But at the same time, I don't really have time to waste on people or things that don't serve me anymore. So life is short in the sense that I don't have time to waste. Every moment that I give to a situation or a person or a worry or a concern, that's a moment that I'm never going to get back. And I just don't have that kind of time to give away. Okay? Time is way too precious, but it's really long in that there's so much more left for me to accomplish. It's never too late to try something new or to, do something different or to feel something different or think something different. And so one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my 30s in the last 5 years is that life is both way too short and still really long at the same time, and that we should just continue to pursue life, pursue the manifestation of our dreams and goals, no matter what those things are. I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. The second thing that I have learned thus far in my 30s is that real love gets messy sometimes. And so, I think we are sold this dream of love and what love is supposed to look like, sound like, feel like. But the reality is that it's very, very different. And so I think what I've learned in my 30s, or one of the things that I'm learning in my 30s, is that love can kind of get messy from time to time. Love is a really beautiful thing. It can be a very beautiful thing, but it can also be really ugly at times. And so it's not really the fairy tale that they sell to us, pretty much from birth. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth it. When I think about the traditional wedding vows that we make when we get married, it says for better or for worse. And I think people really overlook that for worse part. We just always want to think about the for better part, but nobody ever really wants to accept and acknowledge and live up to the for worse part. And the reality is that worse happens in love. It's not always peaches and cream. Sometimes shit happens in love and in relationships, but it doesn't mean that the love isn't real. It doesn't mean that the love isn't pure. It just means that shit happens and that two human beings are trying to figure this whole thing out, and it doesn't always work out in our favor, but it's always worthwhile. And that has been a really big lesson for me. I tell people all the time, people think because I'm a clinician, because I'm a counselor, that I'm supposed to have it all together. And that's just not the reality. The reality is that I'm a human being just like everybody else. I just have access to a deeper pool of tools and technical understandings, So real love, I think, is loving through the messy parts. It's holding on even when it gets really ugly and can be really easy for you to let go. I think that's what real love is. It's fighting for the people and the relationships that you want to have in your life, even if that means hanging on when it gets difficult to do so. Now, I'm not talking about keeping yourself in a situation that's detrimental to your health or your well-being. I'm not talking about, hanging on to something that is causing you physical pain or significant emotional trauma. But what I am talking about is working through the things that can be worked through and holding on to the relationships that are worth it to hold on to. All right. Love gets messy sometimes. And it requires tenacity, and it requires resilience, and it requires commitment above all else. And that's a lesson that I have learned and am continuing to learn as I grow and develop into the person that I really want to be. And so it's not a fairy tale, but it can be magical. That was really cheesy, but you get what I'm saying though. Y'all understand me. Okay, so that's it. That's the second thing that I learned, is that love gets messy sometimes, but it's definitely worth it to hold on and to fight, as long as it's not causing you any type of physical or emotional significant emotional damage. All right. Okay. The third thing that I have learned in my 30s thus far is that I write the story. And this was a really profound lesson for me because, oddly enough, I don't think I really understood that until about 5 years ago, that I write the story. My entire life has really been about trying to fit into the narrative that others have put me in or put around me. And when I was approaching 30 is when I really realized, or really honestly, I started realizing a little bit before that, but I just kind of used to say it in casual conversation when I was talking to friends and stuff, that people just kind of put you in this box, and I felt like people would make up in their minds who they think I am, and then I would have to fit that mold. And if I did anything outside of that mold, or their idea of what they think that I am or who they think that I am, then it would be a big issue, oh, Trish, you drinking? Oh, you doing this? Oh, you doing that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a regular person just like everybody else. But to them, I wasn't a regular person. And I still combat this to today, which is why it's so important to me to be as genuine and authentic as possible, because people will make up in their minds who they think you are or who they think you should be. And then they hold you to that standard. And that's not fair. It's not fair because, their narrative doesn't have to be your story. And I'm learning this, that I get to write the story. I get to tell them who I am, and I get to participate in the shaping of their experience of me so that who they think I am matches as closely as possible to who I am in reality, and that's it has been a very liberating experience for me, because it's a completely different way of interacting with other people. I went from interacting with people in the sense of, I don't want them to think that I'm this, that, and the other. I don't want them to feel like I don't want people to see me as a bad person. I don't want them to think that I don't care. And into this is what I feel, this is what I need, this is what I care about. And so it has really freed me from the expectations of others. Now, I think everybody needs to consider the expectations of others in the sense of, if you're trying to be helpful to others, or if you want to be of service to others, or of any benefit in people's lives, then you do need to have an understanding of what they expect from you. There's nothing, I don't think, wrong with that. But it's one thing to be aware of those expectations and see if your characteristics match up with those expectations. And it's another thing to be aware of those expectations and change who you are in order to meet those expectations. That's two different things. Understanding what they're looking for or what they want out of that relationship or out of having you in their life, and determining whether or not you can provide those things for them based on who you are currently, is very different than feeling like you have to change the core of who you are in order to be what somebody else wants or needs you to be. You can't change your core. You can, but you're not going to be very happy afterwards. All right. So discovering that I get to write my own story means that I get to choose. I get to choose my life. I get to choose my people, my experiences. I get to choose my path. And I get to choose my narrative. I get to decide what the legacy is that's left behind me. And everybody has that option. You get to participate in the building of your legacy. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And I'm excited about continuing to build my legacy and continuing to grow in the direction that I'm growing in, and writing my own story, Which kind of takes me to my fourth and final thing. Well, I mean, it's the final thing I'm going over with y'all today, but it's not the last thing that I've learned, because I've learned so much in my 30s thus far. But, trusting my gut is always the right decision. That is the fourth thing in my top four, I guess we'll call it, of things that I've learned thus far in my 30s. Trusting my gut is always the right decision. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna lead me down an easy path, and it hasn't been easy. It hasn't always been easy, but I've spent so much time second guessing myself over the years based on what other people's expectations of me are. And so what I'm learning, in my 30s is that when I get quiet and really listen to my inner voice, it is not possible to make a bad decision. All right. And this is really, I think it really speaks more to my spiritual growth that has happened. But I think those things are all intertwined. But I really believe that my internal voice and our internal voice, your internal voice, is your connection to whatever higher power you believe in. If you want to call it God, if you want to call it the universe, if you want to call it Jah, Allah, I don't care. I think that is the connection to the inner voice. And so what my 30s has taught me is that really focusing and tuning in to that inner voice helps me to see things more clearly, helps me to understand things for what they really are, and it helps me to make more sound decisions, and decisions that are intended to move me in the direction that I'm supposed to go in. And I use this inner voice to help me resolve issues in multiple areas of my life, in relationships, in business, in finance, even in fashion. Trying to determine what my style is, because as you figure out who you are, your style, your fashion is an expression of what you got going on the inside, right? So even in my fashion sense, everything has changed, y'all. And not necessarily drastic changes, but some areas has been. Just listening to my internal voice, listening to what that quiet spirit inside of me is saying, and following that and trusting that to lead me in the right direction. Like I said, it hasn't always led me in the easy direction, but every thing that I have experienced, every experience I've had has given me some type of lesson or some type of gem or jewel that has gotten me to the next chapter of my life. And for that I am forever grateful. And I think that's the purpose of it. The purpose is not to make sure that we always live an easy life. The purpose is to make sure that we get to where we're intended to be. And so I think if there's only one thing that you get out of my sharing this with you all today, is that trusting your gut, trusting that, listening to that internal voice is the only surefire way to make sure that you always make the right decision, even when it doesn't seem like the best option or it doesn't seem logical. It's always the best decision. And that's just, I know this from experience, and I know this from I've been teaching this to my clients for years, and I've seen them have significant success in those areas as well. All right. So that's it. That's my 4 things that I learned in my 30s. That life is both short and long at the same damn time. So don't waste time on people or things that don't serve you. Get to it and live your life. That real love gets messy sometimes. You have to fight for it. And you have to be willing to love in the beauty and in the ugly. I learned that I get to write my own story. and that I choose the narrative and the legacy that I want to be remembered for. And then also that trusting my gut is always the right decision, and that the closer I get to myself, the deeper understanding I have of myself, then the more confident I am in my relationships, in my business, in my finances, and yes, even in my fashion. Okay. And so, yeah, my 30s have been good to me thus far. I'm really looking forward to this next year and this next, 5 years or so when I get to 40, and seeing how different my life is from now to then. I'm participating in it, and I love the fact that I'm participating in it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. All right. All right. So that's all I got for y'all today. It's going to be kind of a short one. I'm still in the process of moving and trying to just get my life together, y'all. But I definitely thank you for tuning in today and for all of the love and support that I've been receiving. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check me out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards, on Twitter at LSamRichards, and make sure you go to the website, LatriceSampsonRichards.com. If you have any questions or, comments or anything like that, please leave those either here on the website or any of the social medias. If you have a topic that you would like for me to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me as a coach, as a life coach, then hit me up, send me an email through the website, okay? All right, as usual, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. Be well.